Hey, Amy Logan here with amyloganlife.com and your ex-Mormon soul-searching girl. I wanted to talk to you today about why most people in your life probably won't ask you why you left the church. And I think it was something that was really strange for me because it was such a life-shattering experience and just a huge deal for me that I thought, well, my friends and family are going to want to know why. And most people don't want to know why. Some, I'm not going to say no one asked me, but I can count on less than one hand the people who asked me why I left the church. And I was so blown away because I had just spent a few years just immersed in education, educating myself, reading, crying, having anxiety attacks, feeling like I had to keep this all to myself. And I just kept waiting. Well, someone's going to ask me. And it just didn't really happen. And what would happen when I would bring it up was a lot of like chirp, 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 kind of the crickets. And I'd get a little bit of just that look. I felt placated, like, or I like my bubble. Don't tell me I like my bubble. Or you'll be back. So there wasn't really too many inquiries. And I think that's one reason I've suggested to you to keep a journal. I know that's kind of ironic because we've been taught that in the church, but write down your experience because your experience is very valid. What you're going through is very real and it shouldn't be dismissed. And so that's why when I talk about, there are groups out there, there's books you can read, there's communities, you'll find out you're not alone. But there are times you'll still feel a little bit alone because in your day-to-day life, you may not have people who understand you. And especially if you've grown up in the church and you've created a whole world, your friends, your family, your spouse, your children, you've raised your children possibly in this faith. You feel stuck. And that's a really hard place to be. And it's really hard to find your voice and find your own truth in the midst of all of that. But if you're like me, you couldn't stay. And there are a lot of people who do, to save their marriage, to keep their relationship with their kids, and all those reasons are valid. So I would never tell anyone to just uproot because. It takes a lot of thought, it takes a lot of soul searching, and it's a big deal. But don't be surprised if your friends and family don't ask you why. I think that's one reason why I've made this Soul Searching Girl channel, because it's my own little personal reminder. It's a documentary for myself. It helps me connect with you. Some of you, I've received hundreds of emails over the years of gut-wrenching emotional experiences. And I guess that's why I do this. A lot of people have said, you're just anti-Mormon, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. And one of these times I think I'll do a video on some of the nasty comments I receive on YouTube. People, come on. It's not to pull anyone away from the church. If you are a church member, go, love it, live it. That's what they say, right? But if you're sitting there right now and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you've got tears dripping down your face because you're like, what the? I know that feeling. And it still comes back all these years. So that's why I do what I do. That's why my whole career has evolved. And I help people who are stuck, who feel alone, and who feel scared as hell, because this is not easy. It is a paradigm shift. It is a new way of thinking, and it hurts. It hurts deep. But like I've said before, you're stronger than you think you are. Believe me. I know that it might be hard to believe, but I am very much an introvert and a quiet person. And I have forced myself, put myself out there, ridicule and all, because it's not easy and I don't want you to feel alone. So that's why I get teary sometimes, because it's deep in my soul. This is not easy, and it's like a WTF every day sometimes. And so, just don't be surprised if those people who you thought were your friends at church. I mean, I'm trying to even think of the people who I thought were my friends and just they don't know what to say. And I understand, because it's like you're attacking, even if you're not attacking per se, but you are contradicting something that they hold very sacred. And I understand that, and you probably do too, because you at one point probably did as well. It was your everything, right? You probably based 100 life decisions on how the church taught you to make decisions and base your life on. And maybe you didn't. And I've been told, well, it was my personality. Maybe that's true. But, I thought it was the right way to go, and so I was going to live every rule to the T. So just know that people won't ask you. They may not. So find a way to document your experience. Like I've said before, you don't have to put it publicly on YouTube. But this is important for my posterity. To me, it is important. I have 2 teenage boys, and I've chosen not to talk a lot about my personal life and family. A lot of changes happened, and maybe I'll open up down the road. But I was talking to my youngest, who's 17. And this is really important. And there's a fine line you need to walk when you're navigating this with children. And that's a whole other episode. But I've tried to be very respectful. And I've told both of my kids that I support you in whatever you decide. So I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old as of today. And one doesn't go to church and has chosen not to go on a mission. And my youngest is planning on going on a mission. And we have great conversations, and they know where I stand on a lot of things. But I was telling him of the few comments I get on YouTube and whatnot. And he was like, you can tell him, Mom. You can tell him that I support you and I love you and what you're doing too. And just like I do for him. So there is a way to walk this path when your heart aches for what you're going through and you've raised children up in this religion. But just like any other walk of faith, I try not to criticize. Sometimes I bite my tongue. But that's part of life, and no matter what dynamic you have with anyone, whether it doesn't even have to be religious or church related, we have to learn to get along with people, especially in this political climate, but we won't dive into that. Religion, I'm choosing to talk about, not going to talk about politics. You have to navigate your own path and be just like you want people to be gentle with you, you need to be gentle in turn with those that you love, and treat your family with respect, and give them the time they need, because I've said this before too. If someone told me this 15 or 20 years ago, that I would be sitting here talking about life as an ex-Mormon, I would not have believed them. So this doesn't happen until you're ready. Until you're ready to hear it, until you're ready to see it. So hang in there. You're doing great. You can find me at Amy Logan on Instagram and amyloganlife.com.